Hello everyone. Today we will continue with our InDesign lecture, and my purpose through this presentation is to show you four specific things that we are going to do utilizing InDesign. So we will learn how to arrange text in columns. You should be able to transform graphics and visuals at the end of this video. You should be able to fill boxes with color, and finally to design your banners for your InDesign newsletters. Now let's pull up my InDesign document that we have worked on last week. So what we have here is we have two boxes filled with text, and then we have a visual or a graphic, an infographic on the page. So the first thing that we plan to do is how to place text into columns. So let me zoom in a little bit, and you can see right now that this story goes across one column when it actually should go into, the text should be spread into two columns. So how do I place text into two columns? Now if we go back to the tools, and I had a video designed for that covered the tools in InDesign, but anytime you need to work with text, just remember, scroll down to the type tool, click on it, and go click inside that box that you need to make adjustments or manipulations. Now that I'm clicked inside the box, I am going to do Command A to select this text right here, and under Object, go click on Object, scroll down to Text Frame Options. Click right there, and you have a couple of things to do in this box. So the one thing that you should pay attention to is this first section right here, which under Columns, it indicates fixed number of columns, and then it's asking you the number of columns. So the software is smart and it knows what you're looking for. It's telling you right now that your text goes across one column. How many columns do you want it to go across? And obviously I want it to go across two columns, and I'm just going to insert the number 2 there. I'll hit OK, and when I hit OK, look what happened. Look how my text has been placed in two columns. Now, a very important detail, anytime you see this box with a plus at the bottom of a text box, that indicates that there is overlay text, which tells me that there's more text that didn't fit inside this box. So I have a couple of options here. One option is to place my picture, move my picture a little bit lower on the page and increase the size of my text box, which is what I'm going to do. I'll click on my move tool and my selection tool, select the frame of my picture, and then I can either use my arrows on my computer, or I can just drag it down. Then I'm gonna click on my text box, and you see how it's selected. Click and drag until that that red box goes away, and you see it went away. Now I'm gonna bring my picture back up, and remember, you need to have white space, enough white space to have the elements be separated from each other. Don't place them right next to each other. This would be a really bad idea to have a newsletter like that. So don't have it like that, because there's not enough space to breathe and it's just gonna look very, very bad. So move it down where you have enough space. So the first thing that we had to do is arrange text into columns, which is what we did. So we're done with that. Let's take a look and see what's the second thing we're planning to do today. So the second thing is how to transform graphics or visuals. Okay, now let's pull up our InDesign page. So let's assume I want this picture to be larger in size. It's extremely easy. One thing you do is make sure you're clicked on your selection tool. Click on the object that you're wanting to manipulate. You can either drag it one side or drag it down. Now nothing changed, and it didn't change because if you remember in our previous video, I showed you how to fit this image into the box. But let's assume we want to have this picture larger, okay? So we want it to go across this box. So I'm gonna click right here on this box and move it out so that you see what I mean. So clicked on my image, and you see how this frame goes across the third column, but the picture does not. It's extremely easy to take care of it. All you gotta do is click on your image and go back to Object. So remember, under Object you can do lots of things. Under Object, scroll down to Fitting and say Fill Frame Proportionally, and look what happened. This is one way for you to manipulate pictures. So I'm just gonna drag it all the way down, and I'll leave some space for my caption, and I'll fit it. I'll do object, fitting, fill frame proportionally. So you see what happens. This is a way that you can use to manipulate images or graphics. So this is the second thing that we plan to do. The third thing is how to fill boxes with color. So let's come back here, and what we're gonna do now is we will try to design our banner. And we'll do something quite simple. So for the banner, we'll draw a box, fill it with color, apply a couple of effects on that box maybe change the opacity of the color, and then we will apply the banner or the title of our newsletter. So let's begin with the first step. Click on your rectangle tool and click, drag, and let go. Now I'm going to make my banner about 8 by 1.5 inches. Okay, so 8 by 1.5. If I want to be specific about the size, remember in my control menu right here on the top, in the width and height, it tells me the width and the height of this document. So I can actually insert it manually. If I want it to be, let's say, 8 by 2, I'm just going to click 8 and 2 on the height, and you see how my box size changed. But as I mentioned, I'm just going to keep it to 1.5. Hit return, and there it goes. Now that my box is here, I need to fill it with color. So in your control menu on the top, you have the fill option here, and then you have the stroke option on the bottom. My shape already has a stroke that's 2 points in thickness. I'm going to click on the stroke, and under the 2 points, I'm going to do 4 points, for instance, and you see how that changed. There it goes. So it looks quite nice. What I'm going to do next is let's assume I want to draw another box. So I'll click on my box, click, drag, let go, and try to make sure that it's equal. Now that I have my box, this time I'm going to remove the points, so I'll do 0 points, but I'll fill it with color. So I'll click on the fill and press, and let's say I'm gonna have a green color like that, filled inside that box. Now, anytime you want to look on your InDesign newsletter without the lines and the gutter and all of these frames, all you gotta do is click outside your newsletter and hit the key W. And you see when I hit W, everything is gone, and that's all I have here. It kind of gives me a preview of what my newsletter would look like if I would print it now. If I want to go back to the lines and the rules, all I'm gonna do is hit back W, and I'm back. So now I'm going to click on my type tool. Well, actually, before I do my type tool, let's apply some effect onto this second box. So I clicked on my selection tool, click on the second box, and you see these anchor points. It tells me that this shape or this frame is selected. This is where you can find your effect. So I'm going to do a drop shadow, and there it goes. I can apply more effects, but I suggest you try to not overdo them. So I did a bevel and emboss. The size of it, you can soften it a little bit, you can change the depth of it, you can just play with this and manipulate it as much as you'd prefer. Under opacity, you can change the opacity a bit and make it lighter. If you want to see the changes apply right away, make sure this preview button is selected. So under opacity, I'll leave it to that, and I'll just hit OK. Now I'll go back and I'll click on my type tool. I'll click, drag, let go, and have my text typed inside. So I'm gonna type, for instance, eat healthy. Let's assume this is our banner for the magazine. I'll select the text, and obviously you think that probably doesn't look too nice to just have the banner be tilted there to the left, not even centered or larger in font. So how do I take care of that? Select the text, okay, make sure you're clicked on your type tool, and then come inside your text box and select it. After you selected the text, you see in your control menu you have these two different options. You have the character formatting option, which is that capital A right there, character formatting, and then you have the paragraph formatting. So there it goes, character formatting controls and paragraph formatting controls. For now, I need my character formatting controls because I want to change the font style. So under Minion Pro, let's say I'm going to use a April fat face, there it goes, and then I'll change the size of it. I can go in and change it manually, but it's just gonna be a headache to keep moving it like that. So my suggestion is that you bring your cursor on the top of these um, two T's, okay? So it doesn't actually work like Photoshop. I completely forgot about it. But the option that you can use to increase the size or decrease the size in InDesign is very simple. So remember the control or command shift and period to enlarge the size, and command shift period to enlarge the size, command shift comma to minimize it. So command shift period, and I'll enlarge it until I feel like it's enough, and then I'll center it. So I'll click on the center option right here, and let's make sure my text box goes from edge to edge here, just to make sure it's centered inside perfectly. That's very important. So I'm gonna click on my type tool, character formatting, and hit center. Now it looks like it's too high into the banner. You see, I have to drag it a little bit lower. So I'm gonna click on my text box and use my arrows and drag it down until I feel like it's right there in the middle. Hit W to show you what I have. Hit W again. Now let's change the color of this banner. So click, drag, select it, and under fill with color, you can change the color of it. So let's take a look. There it goes now. So this is the fourth thing that we plan to do today. So again, I showed you how to arrange text in columns. Now to arrange text in columns, you select the text. Again, a quick overview, you select the text, do object, fitting object text frame options, and then under the number of columns you change the number of columns that you needed to. Then I showed you how to change the size of a visual, how to draw a box and fill it with color, and how to design your banner. This is it for today. Remember to save your newsletter, and we'll come back to our future lecture in the coming days. Thank you.